My name is Chelsea Collier, and I'm doing the informative speech on Chuck Yeager, sound barrier breaker. Did you ever wonder what man or woman broke the sound barrier? Who managed to travel as fast as light and somehow be an object that moves from transonic to supersonic speed? What human being in the same year received the Presidential Medal of Freedom? Not many students or people in general know about this man, and personally, I didn't either until I did this and wrote it. This amazing man's name is Charles Edward Yeager, aka Chuck Yeager. When we are younger and win a race or break a record in time of how fast a mile or race can be ran, certain people are proud and astonished. All that is great, but what this man did is a part of history. Chuck Yeager was the first man to fly quicker than the speed of sound at the age of 65. That, in my opinion, is flabbergasting. As a surprise to the brigade, he was part of in the Air Force. He retired after amazing breaking of the barrier of sound. However, he did serve for over 50 years. Throughout his career, Chuck Yeager started out as an aircraft mechanic and ended with being a pilot for the United States military. Chuck Yeager has lived a full and fantastic life and is still moving forward. Yeager was born in Mara, West Virginia on February 13, 1923, and graduated from Hamlin High School in his hometown. Mr. Yeager enlisted in the U.S. Air Force as a private in 1941 on September 12th. He was an aircraft mechanic and at that time was too young to go through flight school. Fortunately for Chuck, the U.S. was entering into World War II shortly after, thus making him eligible to train and recruit early. After Private Yeager's early start in flight training, he had a very eventful and fast-paced lifestyle to fly through. On March 10, 1943, Mr. Yeager was awarded his wings and promoted to flight officer when he graduated flight school. Shortly after this happened, he deployed in with the U.S. Army Air Force. That next year, Yeager was shot down on his 8th mission before having a victory. During this deployment, he had to escape from the French resistance to go to Spain and return to England. During the invasion, he assisted a wounded airman. Chuck Yeager that year was awarded the Bronze Star because of his heroic act. With many victories and successes took place in World War II during this time in the service. After war, Yeager was moved on to be a test pilot for the Army and the Air Force. He was selected to be a pilot of an aircraft called the Bell X-1 for the study of high-speed flight. On March 14, 1947, Yeager broke the sound barrier. This was one of the many feats that were accomplished in his life. To many people, Chuck Yeager is a hero, a veteran, and a part of human history. He accomplished so much in so many people. After serving in the war, Yeager was teacher and leader for the first aerospace school for pilots. He was not only an unbelievable pilot, Chuck Yeager went above and beyond to teach his pilots to be better at flying on Earth and in outer space. Yeager was the first to teach and accomplish many things. A journalist that wrote Yeager's biography listed up all of Chuck Yeager's heroic accomplishments by stating, "But that's not why he's my hero." Yeager had many opportunities to retire and claim his rich and fames, but instead he continued fighting with his troops. In 1960, he flew off into Southeast Asia and served in the Vietnam War. He was one of the many pilots that flew and fought for our country. After he finished in this time at war, Yeager was, without catching his breath, continued further on. Yeager studied at Air War College and was the first commandant of the USAF Aerospace Research Pilot School. He helped make astronauts possible to function in NASA. Instead of choosing wealth and comfort, he chose in serving his country. That's what makes him my hero, by Bob Crowley.